So Miss Omar has been on my radar for a long time. Um, I had looked at the fact that her narrative had always been that she obtained citizenship at the age of 17. And that requires two things because she's claiming derivation of citizenship through her father. And that requires one, that her father had to naturalize, and two, she had to be a minor at the time that he naturalized. So in 2019, I'm not really sure what caused me to think about this. Maybe the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
I like to think that that's possible. But I looked at her birth year of 1981. So she was born October 4th, 1981. And her family arrived in the country March 8th of 1995. And her father, not marrying an American, he had a 5-year waiting period before he could apply for naturalization. So that would be March 8th, 2000. And so I looked at Ilhan Omar's birth year, and something caused me to think about that. And it turns out that with that birth year, she was actually 18 in 1999. So she wasn't even a minor when her father became eligible to apply. And so that kind of got me on this track. And so you can see on ajkern.com that I made a video explaining derivative citizenship. And I pointed out that she was not 17 in the year 2000. And then I published it on social media. And just a few days later, she contacted the state of Minnesota, it's a state legislative library, to change her birth year on her biographical page for the state. And so I have that email on my website. You can see it yourself. But she planned on changing her birth year on her state legislative page, Wikipedia, and her U.S. congressional page. And I do not understand why this did not make headlines. That a member of Congress, this is when she first went in and gained a seat in Congress, and she changes her birth year. I don't care what country you're born in. Most people don't change their birth year when they enter Congress. So that kind of got me on this trail of thinking more about it. And eventually it dawned on me to request her father's naturalization records. Now, you cannot request her records because you can't request them for a refugee who is living. But her father passed away, I believe it was in 2020. So it didn't occur to me right away, but eventually it did occur to me to request his records. And it took an entire year, but I finally received a response from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. It's signed by Robert Bussey, FOIA Operations Program Manager. And the date on it is June 20th, 23, which I find very interesting because June 20th is World Refugee Day.
Yeah.
But this letter says that we completed a thorough search for records based on the information you provided. Unfortunately, we found no matching index reference. Our search included all variations of the subject's name, including Nur, Saeed, Elmi, Mohammed, with the same results. So I provided in the application all of the names associated with him, the name he went by in Somalia, and then, of course, he adopted the name Omar coming here.
Yep. So let me interject just something real here, Ms. Kern, before we go. And I'm not trying to break the flow, but so we have already found, and we've got the digital evidence that Ilhan Omar has changed her birth date by 1 year to make herself 1 year older. Am I understanding that correctly, or 1 year younger?
1 year younger.
And you have the
1 year younger. She was 18 in 2000, and she needed to make herself 17. So
That's
she
right.
changed her birth year from 1981 to 1982.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you go to ajkern.com, you can see this. It's about halfway down. She's got a picture of it, and then she's got the web archive link as well as now the new up-to-date link where it shows where Ilhan Omar has changed her birth date. And my main push for this is we need to get Ilhan Omar out of office. And this is a real ethical question here. Is can we have somebody in Congress who lied about their immigration status, how they obtained citizenship, how they lied on their birth certificate to get elected? That to me seems like an ethical question. And, it just so happens that the congressman from the 3rd Congressional District of Mississippi is Mr. Michael Guest, who chairs the Ethics Committee. So that's why it's important that we lay this out. He's a lawyer. I've talked to him a few times. I've got an okay relation with him. I think we've never gotten a shouting match or anything. But, that's why we want to have you on here to show these things and to show the listeners this, to say, hey, Congressman Guest, can you please look at this as the Ethics Committee? This is clearly an ethical violation. Ms. Kern, please continue. I'm sorry for interrupting right there.
No, it's a difficult story really to follow and to understand because it's a little complicated. But in this letter from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, they directed me that I could contact the Department of Homeland Security and obtain a certificate of non-existence of record if they searched their database and her father was not there. And that is what I did. I submitted to DHS, and September 6th of 2023, this one did not take as long, but Douglas Marr, Chief Information Management Liaison Section, sent me a certificate of non-existence of record and basically said the same thing, that after searching their database and using variations of the name, he's not in their database. So this certificate of non-existence of record, to me, is really the clincher here, that her father did not naturalize. So her story of derivation of citizenship through her father when she was a 17-year-old minor does not hold water.
Nope.
She is not a citizen in that way. And she's never claimed to have applied for citizenship herself. And you have to understand that no one has verified her citizenship. On my webpage also, I have a video where I went to the Minnesota Secretary of State's office, and I did ask them when she registered to vote, when she signed the affidavit to run for Congress, did they verify her citizenship? And the answer is no, they did not. And they said that because there is no law requiring them to verify the citizenship of foreign-born individuals, that they would be, in fact, breaking the law if they did do that, if they required proof of citizenship. And the sad state of things is that I believe that we actually have a large population of refugees who are not, they've never naturalized because they don't need to. In Minnesota, when they go to obtain a driver's license, they register to vote at the same time, and essentially they gain all the privileges of being a United States citizen after that. And the Minnesota Secretary of State not verifying her citizenship, I filed a complaint with the Federal Election Commission, and they just determined, it took them a year, and they said it wasn't their jurisdiction to investigate, even though she raises a lot of money, and she could be doing it fraudulently. It didn't matter. And here's what people need to know is that it is the job of Congress to monitor their members. They are supposed to make sure that all of their members are seated properly. And Congress has not verified her citizenship. And we actually have people claiming to have dual citizenship that occupy seats in Congress. And I believe that's a problem as well, but I think for the ethics committee, they should at least take this and look at it and at a minimum say that there's a real possibility that she has committed, if you can't get her one way, let's go for another. And so the other way is let's look at voter fraud and then perjury for having signed the affidavit of office if she is not a citizen.
Miss AJ, before we get to that, let's take a quick commercial break because that's a whole nother issue. And we love our sponsors here, but if you are looking on ajkern.com, that first YouTube video where you see Miss AJ staring across at the lady who looks like she just saw a ghost, you've got to watch that video because it is very telling, ladies and gentlemen. We've got patriots out there like Miss AJ Kern who are doing the work of what we think we know, but she's actually validating what we know. Miss AJ, hang in there. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Miss AJ, we're just going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back,
Sure.
okay? It's
Sure,
going to be
no
quiet
problem.
for a minute. I'll be right back. But this is good stuff. And the chat reaction is good. And my texts are coming in, which I always appreciate. So we're doing a good job.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thanks.
Be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. And this segment is brought to you by Antique Mall of the South. 14,000 square foot of climate-controlled showroom, making it one of the largest antique malls anywhere in southern Mississippi. So for 70 vendors under one roof, a wide variety of dealers and offering unique, curated items of all in one place. And I'm just going to say, my wife and I love to go there once or twice a month, just on date day. And there's always something neat to pick up with a wide selection of items, antiques, fine furniture, home decor, collectibles, gifts, jewelry, and more. It's always changing. There's always something new. It's a one-stop shop. That's Antique Mall of the South. You can find them right there, right off of 51. Thanks for sponsoring the show. And now let's get back to Miss A.J. Kern. We were talking about the second way that Ilhan Omar could be found. It's possibly not a citizen of the United States, and was just a great place to take a break. So I'll just let you go from that point right there, ma'am.
I think I've pretty much covered all the bases of the facts associated with what I've uncovered. Mm-hmm. I think the problem now is that we cannot, my efforts have been to call the offices of members of Congress, and I don't seem to get past their staffers. I also had a friend who was in D.C. recently, and she took both a copy of the U.S. CIS letter and the certificate of non-existence of record to a number of members of Congress. And actually, Minnesota Congressman Majority Whip Tom Emmer has this information. And he said he was going to look into it, but none of them seem to do so. I think the priority is to be reelected, raise money, and they don't really want to touch this. And I have to say that it seems that Ilhan Omar seems to be protected for whatever reason, but I do know that God is in charge of this. Nothing is a surprise to him, and his timing is perfect. And so I believe at some point, if it's God's will, she will be revealed. The truth will be revealed on her citizenship. But I do think that the ethics committee, I did send something, all these documents in a letter to the ethics committee a few years back, and I heard nothing in return. They do work for us in theory, but when it comes right down to it, I think there's just far too many members of Congress that don't see it that way. They tell a good story and talk about fighting a good fight, but to have foreign nationalists occupying a seat in Congress, and remember she was on committees, foreign intelligence committees.
Yes, she was.
It's a problem, and we just can't, as the American people, just can't tolerate this, and so we have to. I'm trying to get as many people as possible to contact their members of Congress and say, why aren't you doing something with this documentation? I think especially with the evidence that she changed her birth year means something stinks here. Something's up. So it would be very easy, I think, for Congressman Guest to go over to the Department of Homeland Security and say, hey, Ilhan Omar's father is deceased. She claimed to derive citizenship through her father. I'd like for you to, I'd like that to know if you would search your system and I want to find out the truth. He could ask himself. Anyone, Any of them could submit the same paperwork that I did, but they just aren't. At a minimum, they could say, let's ensure that she hasn't committed voter fraud. Let's look at that.
Well,
to try to get to the bottom of it.
Well, the WYAB listening audience reaches all over Rankin County and Madison County, which are two of the biggest counties in Congressman Guest's district. And it's not too hard. We've got all these meetings. We got the Saturday breakfast in Rankin County. We've got the Grip and Grin on first Wednesday in June, where Congressman Guest often attends. How tough would it be for some of us who are conservatives, conservative Republicans? Dare I say, many of us are Christian conservatives, and we just say, Congressman Guest, can you look at this and hand it to him? I can't get to the Grip and Grin on a Wednesday, Miss AJ, because it's right in the middle of my show. It's just impossible for me to do. But I know that there's lots of us who have a personal relationship with Michael Guest. Some of it's more positive than others. I would like to think that I'm on the neutral side. I support him when he does good stuff, and I try to gently send correction when he doesn't. But the point is that we're in Mississippi, and we've got the chairman of the House Ethics Committee right here, and AJ has done all the legwork. It's all right here. This is something that a staffer could go and review and validate within 15 minutes of spending time on this. And if there was enough of us in Rankin County and Madison County, even in Hinds County, Scott County, and we just said, look into this, maybe we could get some movement on this, because AJ, you've done the Lord's work on this. And a lot of us knew and felt that this was true, but you've actually got the goods on it. And it's because of patriots like you that this country still has a fighting chance. And we're grateful for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I have felt strongly about pursuing this story, and again, I do feel like God has had a hand in this for sure. Because it's really it's really critical information, and it destroys her story, her narrative of citizenship. And so my attitude is I'm just waiting for God to pull the right lever and shine the light in the dark places. And Ilhan Omar, in my opinion, is clearly an enemy of the state.
Truly,
occupying a seat in Congress, I don't think. Again, the dual citizenship itself, in my opinion, should not be tolerated as well. And Congress, I think maybe Congresswoman Nancy Mace is addressing this. But what is the likelihood that the members of Congress will amend the Constitution to ensure that it's American citizens only that sit in Congress? Because this is a perfect example that foreign nationalists may be occupying seats in Congress and affecting laws and national security. And we just have to keep pounding this drum until someone in Congress will actually take this to the podium and start speaking about it, because the evidence is here enough to question her citizenship legitimately. And the fact that no one has verified her citizenship, and the fact that Congress isn't vetting their members, is a great disservice to the American people.
You would almost think that there's be like a 14th Amendment case on this from Mississippi, because one thing Mississippi is good at doing is suing the federal government, and we win when we do. And you'd almost think that there'd be a 14th Amendment case there, where we in Mississippi, vet our candidates. We make sure that they are U.S. citizenship, and by other states not vetting their candidates to make sure that they're U.S. citizens, that they are depriving states from having a representative republic in Washington, D.C. And this is almost the same thing that we're doing with the Save America Act and through other legal initiatives to like Calais. Because if we don't sit there and fight for this country and the Christian values that it was founded upon, and we can go into that, Miss AJ, till the cows come home. I've done a lot of work on that. If we just start letting these things go, our country is going to change, and it's going to change for the worse. And for people who have never been to an Islamic country like Somalia, like Iran, like Afghanistan, like Iraq, I'm telling you, ladies, you have no idea what you're in for. And I promise you, it's not good. Miss AJ, I'll give you the last word on this, ma'am.
Well, I appreciate you bringing me on to share this information with your listeners. And I just would like to ask for prayers, and especially on June 20th, on World Refugee Day, I think is a good time to pray about this situation. I think everyone knows about the fraud and the corruption in a state like Minnesota, and we've imported so many people from Somalia that are probably individuals who have never naturalized, but they are the ones who are voting, and they're sending Ilhan Omar back to Congress. And it's a betrayal of everything that we stand for. And our roots are based on the Word of God. We are a Christian nation, and now we've invited this whole population that are not. And you import enough of the third world, you start to look like them. And if you don't believe that, just take a trip to Minnesota, and I'm sure there's other parts of the country as well. And it's not about being against the individual refugee who might come here, but it's about the whole program that's corrupted. And we are spending so much money on these programs that have really shifted from what immigration had always been about. And instead of assimilating, they are integrating, and they're bringing their own culture, their own beliefs, their own governance system, if we want to be honest about it. And all those negative things that you mentioned about women should be concerned. I lived in Iran when I was a teenager, and I have daughters, and I'm extremely concerned about the impact that it's going to be importing people that don't share the same culture, values, and religion. And I will continue to speak up about this because it's going to be perhaps our downfall in the end, because we are vulnerable, just like every other nation that's ever succeeded. We're vulnerable because our leaders have become corrupt.
Yep. And I'm not doubting that. But Miss AJ, there is a lot of good stuff that is happening. I've got to tell you, I've got people texting me Michael Guest DC's phone line. And you want to hang around for one more segment? We can just kind of shoot the breeze a little bit. Would that be all right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
we're going to take a commercial break here. Everybody, I want you to, during this commercial break, while you're listening to our wonderful sponsors here at 103.9 WYAB, I want you to go to ajkern.com. That's ajkern.com. And I want you to start looking through that information there. Because if I've got 2 or 3 of you texting me Michael Guest DC phone number, and one of you got his office phone number here, that means you're ready to go out and take some action. But we want you to just not say, hey, go look at this. You gotta feed it to them. And that's what we're going to do over the next segment here. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show. She is Miss AJ Kern. We'll be right back. Miss AJ is pretty cool, man. We've got like 4 people texting in numbers to Congressman Guest line, and I get pretty good response, but I haven't had it like this. And I'm not trying to make it all excited or anything, but we've really hit a nerve with some people. So hopefully here in the next segment, I'll read some comments, and we'll just kind of bounce off each other and talk about that, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I'm a 21-year military vet. I did almost 10 years enlisted in the Navy and almost 11 years as an officer in the Air Force. You were an intel person at in the Army?
Army Reserves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't achieve what you did. I was in there for 1 term, and I was planning on going into ROTC,
Mm-hmm.
but I ended up, the unit I was in Bozeman, Montana. It was just terrible. It was a terrible unit. And I just thought, I don't think this is the path for me long term.
Yep.
Even though that's when I went into it was my plan. But anyway, thank you for your service.
Oh, no worries. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
The-
Okay,
the-
that's good.
it's true. It's like, there were some moments that weren't so hot, but when I look back on it now, there's nothing I wouldn't change. I wish some people wouldn't have moved on like they did, but I think
Yeah.
look back at my service, I'm like, man, it was good stuff, great times.
Well, you said Air Force, and I always, I felt like after I went Army, that was a big mistake. I always felt like I should have went Air Force, and I probably things probably would have went different for me, but I don't know. Not every unit is great, and yeah, it was it was interesting, and I don't regret. I learned a lot. I really learned a lot. But my last day was right before the Iraq issue.
Yep.
And so I didn't serve during a time where we were actually in wartime, I guess you would say. So.
Yep. Well, the thing about what I tell my Navy buddies, and then we got to get ready for it to come back from break, is everything that you've ever heard about the Air Force, AJ, it's true. It's all better. It really is.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yep. All right. We're going to kind of let it get back from this commercial here, and we'll go right into it, and we'll take some comments, okay?
Okay.
And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We are here with Miss AJ Kern, and she has done the research, ladies and gentlemen, that shows that at the very minimum, Ilhan Omar has lied about her birth certificate, and let's be truthful about it. She shouldn't be in Congress. And the reason that we have her on this show is because we have a congressman in Mr. Michael Guest, good guy. Look, he's got the ability as the chairman of the ethics committee to bring this up. And I just, the anonymous texters, I just want to salute this audience, especially you anonymous texters, the ones who send in the good stuff and the ones who berate me too. I take it all in. But when the anonymous texter starts sending me information about Michael Guest's DC phone number, which is 202-981-3165, you want to make sure that when you call them, you want to be respectful, but you got to have the goods ready to go. And you can find everything that you need to present to Congressman Michael Guest, whether it be at his DC office, or maybe you can go visit one of his field offices. I don't know. Benny Thompson's my congressman, so I don't know where Mr. Guest's field offices are, but many in this listening audience do. Go there, be polite, be presentful, be factual, and go out there and do that. And it's pretty funny. We've got this one listener. His name is Junk. He's in charge of the Southern Command at WYAB, Miss AJ, and he goes, "I hope another strongly worded letter of complaint, or I see another strongly worded letter of complaint in our future." No, Mr. Junk, we've got Miss AJ here. We've got all the goods. We've got the goods that we need. And Dogfish is saying, AJ, thank you for your research. And people out there love you, Miss AJ, and they're looking for people like you who've done all this work.
I appreciate that. My other concern is associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, and this is part of the reason why I looked into Ilhan Omar. I can see that our government has not designated the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization, and that legislation does come up time and again, and yet Congress fails to pass it. And so we have these Muslim Brotherhood front groups like the Council on American Islamic Relations and Muslim American Society. And you can also see on my webpage is that Majority Whip Tom Emmer's staff have taken pictures with Minnesota Care, Jailani Hussein. And Jailani Hussein actually confronted me in the St. Cloud Library, and he was very upset about what I had been talking about with the refugee resettlement and the growing Muslim Brotherhood and front groups. And they make donations and they lobby. They lobby Congress heavily. And I feel like this is really part of the reason why many members of Congress just don't even want to talk about this, because they're being influenced and we don't see it. And our members of Congress that we vote for, we think, well, they're Republican and we support them and they're doing a good job, but we don't really know the ins and outs and how much they're being lobbied. So the photos on my page, on Tom Emmer page, he's not actually in the picture, but his chief of staff and other members of his staff are meeting with CARE, and what are they talking about? But Tom Emmer's district has one of the largest Somali communities, and when the people in the beginning, when they were voicing their concern about all these refugees coming in, and of course it impacts the cost of schools because you have English language learners, you have the impact to your medical system and all these other things, housing, and then crime. I'm sorry, but crime does increase. And Tom Emmer was just shutting them down. And he even brought up the Constitution. Well, the Constitution doesn't say that we have to take in one refugee. So I think sometimes you really have to pay attention to what they're actually saying. And we coming with some facts and having enough here when a member of Congress has even changed her birth year and they have never verified her citizenship. They haven't vetted her. And we don't know all of the, relationships that she has, who she's talking to. And it's a national security risk. We just can't risk having a foreign nationalist. And I think members of Congress have to stop ignoring us and take this seriously.
Yep. People are asking me to say, where can they find this information? And so I'm going to say it really slowly. It's just www.ajkern.com. That's www.ajkern.com. You can find it all there. For those of us military types, it's Alpha Juliet Kilo Echo Romeo November.com. There you go. And that's where we can find it at. I mean, the text response here is pretty good, Miss AJ. Is there somewhere where you're on X, aren't you?
Yes.
Can you give out your X address if people want to reach out to you? That'd probably be the best way to do it. And so that if people have questions about this, they can reach out to you directly.
Sure. So AJ Kern, and then it has the at AJ Kern 8, the number 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I've posted some of the interview. I was on Alpha News and provided a lot of information there, and then on InfoWars, and also on Truth Social. President Trump, I don't know if he's actually the one that's posting things on his Truth Social account, but he did share one of my videos.
Wow.
When I had both of these documents that I have, and I I made a video about it, and President Trump did post it. And so I became a bit hopeful at that moment that someone in the White House was paying attention, and someone might walk over to the Department of Homeland Security and verify all of this. But so far, that hasn't happened.
Well, we just got to keep praying it up. We need patriots out there all over the listening audience, and we've got a streaming audience too, which is, you're on X, you're on YouTube, you're on Rumble. It's worldwide. Hopefully we get some of our people to call into Michael Guest, and we'll see what happens. Miss AJ, we really appreciate you giving us 3 segments of your time today. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This has been terrific. Thank you.
Yep. And we'll have to do it again here. If something changes, we'll definitely get back in touch and we'll talk about it on the air.
That sounds great.
Yep.
Thank you.
You betcha. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss AJ Kern, founder and investigative journalist who discovered all this stuff on Ilhan Omar. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the whole reason why I do this show, is to be the stepping stool, give people microphones, give people a voice that can go out and actually have real impact. I'm telling you what, if every pissed off Rankin County citizen, Madison County citizen, Scott County citizen, Mississippi Congressional District 3 citizen reaches out to Michael Guest on this in a somewhat respectful way, I prefer to be truly respectful, but I know that not everybody can roll in that, and I get that. But if we us all reached out to Congressman Guest and said, "Hey, here's the deal. Can you look at this?" And we didn't even talk about the Sharia law stuff. Miss AJ Kern, who lived in Iran for 4 years, she understands Sharia law, and perhaps we have her back on again to talk about her experiences with Sharia law, and how vile and horrible it truly is, because I am quite certain that there are a bunch of people out there who have no freaking clue about what they're getting themselves into. I mean, eh, eh, I am a Christian apologist. I'm an evangelist, and I actually find myself studying more of the Quran now to combat Islam than I do have to spread the word of Jesus to Americans, which is scary to me, because not only do you have to know the Bible, you got to know the other person's book, because you go out in public and you don't know what the heck you're talking about. You're just a casual Sunday observer at church, and all of a sudden you've got these Dawa guys, these Islamic apologists out there. They're going to smoke you. They're going to smoke you bad, and they're going to make your daughter feel like she needs to be a Muslim woman, a purity. And let me tell you, there ain't nothing pure about it. So that's my kind of my rant there. All right, we're gonna finish up this commercial break. We're gonna finish up the top of the hour. Next hour, we've got all sorts of stuff we got to talk about. Roger Wicker, and it's just going to be a great show today. I really appreciate all of you tuning in. This means the world to me. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. First hour is in the can. What a guest, huh? Miss AJ Kern. You know, with the power of AI and the tools that are available to us, all of the information is out there for us to seek. We just have to know how to ask for it, and then we have to know how to present it to the people who can actually do something about it. And for those who were on the radio and didn't get to hear the uh, stream conversation, AJ and I didn't even talk about Sharia law. But she's a woman who has spent time in Iran, 4 years. 4 years in Iran as a young girl. Dude, I think we're gonna have Miss AJ back on again, and we are just gonna have the Sharia law roadshow. And, you know, in this audience, I have no problem saying you are what you can consume. If you're consuming sugar, you're gonna get fat. You're gonna get lazy. You're consuming good food, you're gonna grow. You're gonna get strong. You live off the milk. I mean, First Corinthians chapter 3 talks about eating milk or drinking milk and eating meat. At what point do you start eating meat and start being the change that you want your community to do? In the next hour, I've got a op-ed from Senator Roger Wicker that we're just going to kind of go through for at least the first segment. It might take the whole second hour. There's so much there that I disagree with. There's some stuff that I do agree with. But again, in politics, we speak in platitudes. We only give the slice of the story that we want you to see. And I'm saying this as a recovering politician, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's not like I'm just shooting from the hip here. I know how this works. If you're a recovering politician, if you were a politician, you know how it works. And so few of us actually talk about our experiences in elected office. Sure, you've got the blowhards out there like the Joe Walshes and others who just scream to scream. I don't want to be that guy who just sits there and complains the whole time. I want to offer solutions. Dogfish, I'll let you know. I'll let Miss AJ know that you thanked her for her research. And again, the anonymous texters who are sitting there asking for this stuff, it's just AJ Kern, Alpha Juliet Kilo Echo Romeo November.com. And you can go through there. Her website is an old WordPress site, and you'll have to scroll through it, and it'll take you about 15 minutes to go through it all if you watch all the videos from end to end. I'll tell you what, during the top of the hour break, I actually am going to play the video of Miss AJ Kern where she's going ahead and confronting the clerk about her citizenship, validating her citizenship, because it is absolutely astounding to me how that's working out. I mean, what are we doing here? This is 2026. This validating citizenship should be light work. It should be instantaneous. I mean, we already live in a digital world where everything we do is on camera. I was talking to my mama last night, and she says, "Andy, you don't even know all the freedoms you lost from when I was a little girl." And I'm like, "Mama, you're right." You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be back in about 7.5 minutes. All right, for my listeners, friends, I'm going to go ahead and play this video from Miss AJ Kern's website.
Hey, sports fans. We're here at Minnesota's Secretary of State's office, and we have some questions about U.S. citizenship. Is the state verifying citizenship when a foreign-born person registers to vote, get a driver's license, or run for public office? So let's go on in and see what we find out. Hello. We just have some questions about when a candidate files for office.
Looking for an election administrator for you.
Okay. I was just wanting to ask some questions when a person comes in to run for state legislature.
Mhm.
They fill out a form.
Rich. The affidavit of candidacy. Yep.
Okay. Could I see that or could I have a copy?
Yep. You sure can.
When they fill it out, then that is public data.
Most of what's on there is public data.
Most of what's on there. So how do you verify their citizenship if they're foreign born?
But that's outside of our realm. There's no authorization in the statutes for us to follow, double check on people, verify their status and things like that. They sign the affidavit. That's the certification statement, and that's just the way it is right now. There is no law that requires us, and in fact, because there is no law telling us to do that, we would be violating the laws by checking up on people. We don't verify everybody is a citizen. We don't verify everybody is a citizen. We don't verify everybody is a citizen.
Okay, everyone, you just heard it. When
you can see that right
candidate goes to file to run for an elected office, the state is not verifying U.S. citizenship. So as a citizen, if I suspect that a foreign-born candidate has not obtained U.S. citizenship, like I suspect Ilhan Omar has not obtained U.S. citizenship, I can't verify it through the state. She just said they don't verify U.S. citizenship. That's a problem. I'm AJ Kern, and I approve this message.
And there you go. Maybe I go ahead and get this ready and I just continue this topic a little bit into the second hour. Roger's just going to have to wait. But I'm going to scroll it back from right when she goes on into the...
Find out.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. All right, hang in there, everybody. I'm really grateful and thankful to the listener audience today, man. Even more than normal. When I get feedback like this, the positive feedback, yep, it's awesome. It's awesome. I'll turn up the news here while we do our thing.
A Memorial Day flood results in a woman dying in Petal. A 70% chance for more rain this afternoon with a high at 83. You've also got a chance for thunderstorms. A 30% chance for rain tonight with a low at 70. Wednesday, a 90% chance for more rain and storms by the afternoon with a high at 86. More rain for the rest of the week and into the weekend. You've got news on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis. A woman was pronounced dead in Petal Monday afternoon about 3:30 when the SUV that she was driving was swept away in a flooded creek. Authorities there say that the creek, which is near the Walmart, had about 12 feet of water in it because of the flash flood that was going on there. The woman's name has not yet been released. Somehow, Mississippi's average price for gas remained under $4 per gallon for Memorial Day and for the weekend. It is now $3.92 per gallon for regular, says Gas Buddy. The national average is at $4.45 per gallon. The cheapest in the metro area is at two stations, one on Bailey Avenue in Jackson and one in Pearl, both of which have regular for $3.69. The mess in Brandon could have been much worse Monday afternoon just before 2. A semi-truck carrying more than 5 tons of Kit Kats turned over on an on-ramp to I-20. The trailer came loose from the cab and ended up turning over. But it did not appear that a large amount of Kit Kat bars came out, but it did cause the ramp to be closed down while the mess was cleaned up. You are being warned about more black bear sightings in Hinds County. Sheriff Tyree Jones says the latest sightings were in the Utica area. He says making sure that trash is secure and put up and that pet food is too are the best things that you can do to keep bears from coming in the yard. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
Why don't you mind your own business?
Mind my own business? What's that supposed to mean?
No, I was just thinking about all the news of tax changes, insurance changes, regulations that are being passed down to business owners. I don't have time to keep growing and to keep up with payroll regulations.
I know. It seems like all I do is handle employee-related problems.
You know, I hear People Lease can help.
How can they help?
People Lease can handle our payroll, taxes, employee benefits, and workers' compensation. They even offer an affordable and customizable 401k program and a 24/7 online human resources support center for all my HR needs.
Think of all the time we'll save. I'll be busy growing my business and letting People Lease take care of the rest.
Sounds like a good business plan with People Lease.
Let People Lease mind your business so you can mind your own business. Call now. 601-987-3025. That's 601-987-3025. Or visit freepayrollquotes.com for your free quote.
You love your land, and you have plans for it. During Kubota Orange Days, you'll love the great deals on our versatile, reliable lineup, helping you turn dream projects into reality. Visit your Kubota dealer today for the best deals of the year. Now through June 30th, 0% financing available, or save up to $5,500 off select compact tractors. Sale ends soon. Stop by your local dealer or go to gokubota.com.
Visit Davini Equipment in Madison and Jackson, or at DaviniEquipment.com.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and are not.
And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB for hour number 2. And we are streaming on Rumble. And we are streaming on X. And we are streaming on YouTube. We're even streaming on Facebook. And we're streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the blowtorch that is 103.9 WYAB, like, share, and subscribe to our streams. Help us grow the station, grow the stream. Greatly appreciate that. You can follow me at Andrew Gosser or at Andrew Gosser on X. I'm at AndrewGosser.com too. I got the website out there. It's sitting there and wait. I'm trying to see how things go here. Get a little bit healthier. Maybe start putting up some stuff for 2027 and 2028. Who knows? Who knows? But in the meantime, if you want to be part of the show, if you like what we talked about in the first hour, number is 601-879-0002. Text line is open at 601-879-5060. I appreciate all the texters who were texting in the last hour. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. You all are the saints. That's just how it is. And, you know, Miss AJ has this on her website, and I'm just going to say it again. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. And, you know, I'm sowing into this. I am not letting this traitor Ilhan Omar go. I think there's a real lawsuit to be had there, 14th Amendment grounds. If we can sue California for letting illegals vote, why can't we sue Minnesota for allowing people who are not citizens to become congressmen? And one of the texters said, hey, can you play that video of the clerk? And here it is. And it's about a minute and 30 seconds long. I'm not going to interrupt it, but just listen to the excuse of this.
Hello. We just have some questions about when a candidate files for office.
Looking for an election administrator for you.
Okay. I was just wanting to ask some questions when a person comes in to run for state legislature.
Mm-hmm.
They fill out a form.
Rich. The affidavit of candidacy. Yep.
Okay. Could I see that, or could I have a copy?
Yep. You sure can.
When they fill it out, then that is public data?
Most of what's on there is public data.
most of what's on there. So how do you verify their citizenship if they're foreign born?
But that's outside of our realm. There's no authorization in the statutes for us to follow, double check on people, verify their status and things like that. They sign the affidavit. That's the certification statement, and that's just the way it is right now. There is no law that requires us, and in fact, because there is no law telling us to do that, we would be violating the laws by checking up on people. We don't verify everybody is a citizen. We don't verify everybody is a citizen. We don't verify everybody is a citizen.
Okay.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Minnesota clerk of the court right there, elections division. And you can go watch this YouTube video for yourself. I tell this audience all the time, trust me, but verify me. And I'm asking all of you, Republicans and Democrats, because Democrats don't think that this Ilhan Omar crap isn't infecting you here in Jackson. $1 trillion worth of fraud. When you look at it all over all the states, I'm telling you, people are like, Andy, you can't say it's trillion. It's only at 240 billion between California, Michigan, Minnesota, and Ohio. I'm telling you what, when you start counting up all the states and all these different fake government programs where these illegal aliens are siphoning away our federal dollars that should be going to right here in Mississippi to help out with things we need to get done, it's wrong. Wrong is wrong. Now, your culture might not think it's wrong, but American culture says it's wrong. And, I'm not being fooled by all these charges starting to drop with the Minnesota fraud until I start seeing mass deportation of these people who are committing all this fraud in the United States, until I start seeing a seizing of assets of Somalis here in the United States who are here illegally and clawing back all that money that's being funneled into Somalia. I'm not impressed. I'm not. But what does impress me are people like Dogfish who is saying we need to expose that the immigrant from Kenya who had their birth certificate, speaking about President Obama. Yep. I mean, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. If we can't even correct Ilhan Omar and what she's doing in Congress and in Minnesota, what makes you think we can correct something that was perpetrated on us by a president? And I'm telling you, when I find citizens like AJ out there, and there's citizens like this right here in Mississippi who are doing work, and I'd love to have them on the radio too and interview them, talk about their plights. But when we have somebody reaching out, again, this is the state of Minnesota reaching out, pleading for help from Mississippi. Pleading for help. Mississippi, via the 3rd Congressional District in Mississippi, Congressman Michael Guest can help correct Minnesota, because the judges in Minnesota, they're going to wait until it all goes to the federal court and it's going to go all up and it's going to be gummed up for years. Nancy Mace, I did look it up. She does have a requirement to make all Congresspersons be a U.S. citizen, no dual citizenship. Let me ask you something. If we can't even get the Save America Act passed through the Senate, what makes you think they're going to pass Nancy Mace's bill? But, I sponsored a bill. And that's, I mean, I love Nancy Mace. She's not perfect, but she's one of the better ones. But this is how they get you. I sponsored a bill, but it died. We'll get them next time. I don't want to play that game anymore. I sighed. I'm 53, almost 54. It's not enough for rabble-rouser Andrew Gosser to go out there and lead the charge. Those days are done. Been there, done that. Was successful in some ways, very unsuccessful in other ways. And we're looking for that next generation, like Blake Bartlum, to step up. Man, there's got to be some young kids in Rankin County besides Blake who are fired up about this, who want to get involved, who want to make a difference. Could you imagine if Blake Bartlum rolled up to guest office with about 60 of his friends saying, hey, we need you to look at this? No, seriously, we need you to look at this. Something tells me that Congressman Michael Guest would look at it, and he might come back with a really smooth answer. And if that's the case, then that's the case. We'll take that smooth answer. But I think we can get stuff done. I feel very differently about Congressman Michael Guest than I do some other Mississippi politicians. And people are saying, "Oh, Andy, you're just trying to kiss up to Michael Guest." No, I've actually sat down with him when I needed to sit down with him, and I'm not saying I got everything I wanted, but I got more than what I was thinking I was going to get. And there are people who would say, "Oh, Andy, you're just selling yourself out." Well, am I? Knowing what I know now about how things are being done with the specific issues that I truly care for. And I'm just being truthful with y'all. When I say the thrust of my political efforts nationally were never about civil rights. We're never about tax codes. We're never about military issues. I was a space policy nerd. And in my wildest dreams, I never thought I would be as successful as I was. Genuinely, some of the most impactful legislation that was ever passed was commercial crew and cargo contract and commercial off-the-shelf contracts 1 and 2. I said it yesterday, but I'll say it again. Let this sink in. SpaceX's IPO was originally supposed to be $1.75 trillion. And now they're talking about maybe capping out at $27.5 trillion. People are throwing, oh, that's only $3 billion. We're throwing around billions like back in the 80s when we were throwing around hundreds of thousands, and in the 90s when we were throwing around millions. And in the 2010s, it was billions. And now we're starting to this causal reaction to trillions. And if the whole space economy opens up, God only gave us one Earth, but he gave us a whole lot of up there. Whoever can, and dare I say, exploit the natural resources of the moon, of the asteroids, whoever can get that's going to change a lot of how this works. So don't think that just because you're one little person doesn't think that you can't have an impact. You don't know who's going to be the one who pushes Michael Guest into actually doing something. Not everybody's got their own way of doing things too. That's like something that really fires me up about specifically conservatives. Like, if you don't do it the way I'm telling you to do it, then you're garbage. It's just garbage. Forget it. We're not going to go that way. I know because I used to be that way, and I'm not proud of it. It's like I'm repenting in front of the world here on WYAB. These all are nothing positions on both sides of the aisle are bad. And there are some things that are non-negotiable, and let's get that out of the way. I think we could all agree on that. But when we're sitting here trying to come to consensus here to try to get something done positively, it's like these AI data centers that they're building all over the place. It is not an absurd to think that they will all be out of date within 5 years after we build them. They'll be completely out of date. The chips that they have now are not quantum computing. Basically, what they are is Pentium processors that have been maxed out in 2026, because the next big step after what they did back in the day is quantum computing. And there's really only 1 or 2 quantum computers in the world right now. And if you talk to Google people, they had one incident with it and they've shut the thing down because the quantum computing power is just ridiculous. You think AI data centers are crazy? Just wait till we break in quantum computing. And remember, all that needs is the helium-3 from the moon, and we'll have it. That's just crazy to me. But when we get back, I just wanted to play that video from Miss AJ Kern so that people can hear from the horse's mouth, the public servant who was working at the clerk's office, that they don't check for citizenship, and how some people think that it's crazy that Ilhan Omar she's got to be a citizen and she's not. Well, now you've got the proof. Now the question is just, what are you going to do with it? Do you have the Constitution and the character to speak out about it, or are you going to keep your head down? You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
WYAB.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com.
You love your land, and you have plans for it. During Kubota Orange Days, you'll love the great deals on our versatile, reliable lineup, helping you turn dream projects into reality. Visit your Kubota dealer today for the best deals of the year. Now through June 30th, 0% financing available, or save up to $5,500 off select compact tractors. Sale ends soon. Stop by your local dealer or go to gokubota.com.
Visit Davini Equipment in Madison and Jackson, or at DaviniEquipment.com.
Antique Mall of the South has 14,000 square feet of pristine, clean floor space. Home to beautiful, timeless antique treasures. Antique Mall of the South is open Monday to Saturday, 10 to 5. Check them out online at AntiqueMallOfTheSouth.com or go to the Antique Mall of the South Facebook page. You can also read the dozens of 5-star reviews online. Come see for yourself at Antique Mall of the South in Ridgeland. Now open Monday to Saturday, 10 to 5. That's Antique Mall of the South, Highway 51 in Ridgeland.
For over 15 years, A1 Gear and Auto has been your hometown specialist for your auto repair and maintenance needs. From brake repair to placement to radiators, engines, starters, alternators, heat, and AC water pumps, and more, A1 will get your vehicle back up and running and on the road and in a timely manner. A1 is one of the only shops in the metro that specializes in rear differentials, rear ends, and rings and pinions. Call today to set up an appointment, or if you got questions, at 601-939-1060. A1 Gear and Auto, your hometown vehicle specialist.
Friday mornings at 9 is a great time to chill with us here at 103.9 WYAB. It's the Blues and Arts Hour, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi, Small Town Music, and Fusion Coffee House. I'm Chris Davis, your host. You'll hear from people who play, write, and live music from Mississippi artists and creators, and you'll also get to sample some of their work. And it's every Friday morning at 9 on 103.9 WYAB.
Get ready, Louisiana! Johnny's Pizza House.
What are you doing? Playing the Jungle Cash Word Scratch Off here. Playing digital instance Jungle Cash Word. Same thing as you, but on the phone. But I can.
Andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun Flint or dive into a Sweep the Swamp Pizza Bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Johnny's Pizza House.
When leaks, clogs, or cold showers slow you down, call on Anglin Plumbing, the plumbing experts who get the job done right the first time. Leaky faucet, sink, or toilet? Need a water heater installed? Call on Anglin Plumbing. You can always trust Anglin's reliable and hardworking technicians. Don't let plumbing headaches ruin your day. Call on Anglin Plumbing Service to get it fixed. And you can be a part of the team. Anglin Plumbing is now hiring. Learn more about Anglin Plumbing at anglinplumbing.com.
And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We are moving and grooving, rocking and rolling. Life is good. Life is good. I do have the Roger Wicker op-ed, but I want to talk about this redistricting battle because it's a little bit more of the essence. It's a little bit more important to talk about this. And we've actually got a great news report from WLBT. And, you know, I kind of got upset about him when they talking about the DUI from the senator up north, where they didn't have all the details. And he might be guilty of it, but you want all the details of it. But this is really good on Mississippi redistricting, because so many of you have told me that you've reached out to your state senators and reps and you want it. And the other, we don't throw together protests with microphones. We just let our reps what we know. And this is kind of what's going on. And it's got a great update, and it's got some points that I want to talk about. So without further ado,
after weeks of reporting on Mississippi's redistricting fight, we're stepping back to answer the bigger question: how did we get here? 3 on your side's Courtney Ann Jackson breaks down the key turning points and what happens next.
The legal ground shifted with the Calais decision at the U.S. Supreme Court, but Mississippi's election calendar is already in motion. Experts say the Supreme Court ruling changes how voting rights challenges are argued. Those advocating to redraw the lines say it's necessary.
And it is. And you're going to hear examples of why we're going to hear it's necessary. But all I'm saying is if how I look at a legal decision and figure out if it's really in the right is if you can flip it on its back. And if the situation was in the other foot, if there was a situation where there was a black majority state and we carved out a little section out in the country for the white people, and that was found to be unconstitutional, would that be eradicated immediately? And the answer is yes. And I keep on saying this isn't a race issue. It's about a Democrat issue. And my continued example of this is Tennessee 7, where it was a black majority district and they never elected a black person ever. It was all about the Democrat, the white Jewish Democrat who ate Kentucky Fried Chicken at committee meetings. No outrage over that.
It's complicated, it's complex, it's not one of these things that can happen overnight.
But critics say it's about representation.
They no longer want the voters to pick them. They want to pick their voters.
And you know what? That was Democrat Senate candidate Scott Collum. And that it is said to be true. Drawing voting districts, but it's not Republicans that do it. It's not Democrats that do it. Everybody does it. And every time we try to get a Fair Maps amendment passed, legislation through, you know who kills it? It gets killed by both parties. Nobody wants none of that business because they know if they do, we'll get competitive districts and they'll actually be responsible to us. And again, this is no longer a left or a right thing. This is a populism thing coming from the bottom up. And there's more of us on the bottom than are at the top.
Most of what you've likely seen and heard is about Benny Thompson in the 2nd Congressional District, but changing his district lines would reshuffle the whole map.
If I were any one of the incumbent congressmen, the 3 or the 1, I wouldn't like all of a sudden saying, oh, let me think about who's in my district now.
Yeah, you know what? And that is Pete Perry, former Hinds County GOP chairman. He knows his stuff. There's a lot of people who don't like him. I get along with them. I don't sit there and talk smack about him. I don't agree with everything that he says, but he's absolutely right here. You know why? Trent Kelly knows he's a winner. Michael Guest knows he's a winner. Benny Thompson knows he's a winner. Mike Easel, I hope I said that right. If I didn't, me and names, full disclaimer, it's not because I want to disrespect him, just because that's how my brain works. He already knows that he's the winner. So now everybody in the party is like, hey, we don't want to change anything. Ron Eller knows he's the Republican candidate for Mississippi Congressional District 2.
And who's not.
The major complicating factor on congressional redistricting is the calendar. Mississippi is in a different position than states that moved quickly before voters chose candidates. Here, the races are well underway, and whether it would have been possible depended on who you asked.
I think if you look at the calendar, if they act quickly, there is enough time, but
there absolutely is. There absolutely is enough time, and Brother Shad is right. And whether you are, this is what I would say, if you're a Republican and you want redistricting, just remember who's fighting for redistricting now and 2027, who your candidate is. Just remember that.
Every day that goes by makes that a little bit harder.
If Mississippi tried to do it, you don't have enough time. You'd have to reopen the qualifying deadline, hold a primary election, hold a primary runoff.
Those worries.
Well, then let's do it, Pete. We've got more than enough time. There are some people who don't hold their primary elections till August. They don't have these long, drawn-out primary elections. And people are saying, oh, you're going to get sued. You're going to get sued. Let me go to ground news here real quick, because I think it's right there. Here it is, right here, ladies and gentlemen. You knew it was coming. Federal court blocks Alabama plan for new congressional redistricting that could help Republicans. Guess what? I guarantee you that this is going to get put on a rocket and sent straight up the Supreme Court's rear end. And they're going to answer this real quick, one way or the other. On Tuesday, federal judges temporarily blocked Alabama's plan to use the new congressional map that could give Republicans an advantage in a key House race. Imagine that. Issuing a preliminary injunction regarding the state to continue using court-ordered districts from the 2024 elections. I'm telling you, the judiciary, especially in the lower courts, have completely got out of hand. They're completely out of control. Don't compare them to drunken sailors, because drunken sailors earn their money. These judges are just completely out of control. Alabama could appeal the ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court, as the decision marks another major turn in redistricting battles across the South. And this is the other thing too. Democrats will go say, well, this isn't happening in the North. It's because it was slowly done over time. Look at New England. Again, look at Illinois. Look at California. They just take a little slice here, a little slice there. Oh, we lose a seat. We're going to have to take that away from the Republicans and give it to more Democrats. That's what they did to my area up in Illinois. They just kept on diluting the Republicans, slicing it off, slicing it off, slicing it off. But I digress. Let's finish up with this article, news report here from WLBT. Good job, LBT.
Worried about the possible outcomes, say those fears are
real quick. If I see anybody in a closed room on a microphone, or not a microphone, but a megahorn, sitting there doing their best Al Sharpton back in the 1970s and 80s, I don't want it.
Rooted in history.
Immediately after the Voting Rights Act was passed, they gerrymandered the districts where black folks couldn't win. And that was done basically on the, grounds of white supremacy.
And this is Dr. Deandra Ore, political science professor of Jackson State University. Tell me, how is that working up in New England or Illinois? And this is the problem that I get, because white people gerrymander all the time for Democrats. White people gerrymander all the time for Republicans. Black people jury all the time for Democrats. Can't say black people really gerrymander for Republican districts, even though it was the Republicans who gave them the Civil Rights Act. And that needs to actually be talked about with the Save America Act. The exact same procedure that gave us the Civil Rights Act could also give us the Save America Act if John Thune was leader enough to do it, but he won't.
Today, if they draw all majority white districts, the question is, what's the difference?
The unknown part of this redistricting.
The big difference is it's drawn on political lines, not racial lines. And this is like the true failure of America and not following God, is that because we made parties into race and identity and tribalism, we don't really get good government. Some of us who are on the right, and I'm not saying that there aren't Christian conservatives conservative Democrats. They're rare. They get kicked out of a lot of delegations, but they're out there. But the right that's kind of like try to embrace Christianity to somewhat extent, which is why that gets what it gets. But by no means am I saying Republicans are perfect, but that's just why it is the way it is. If we were all truly seeking God, we wouldn't be having the problems we have.
Calendar is exactly when the governor will ask lawmakers to do it. He has only said he expects that to happen between now and the 2027 elections. Courtney Ann Jackson, 3 on your side.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I have a bad thing there of double clicking, but that was WLBT. They did a good job on that. And redistricting again. You know, I'm not threatening anybody. I don't have the ability to threaten anybody politically, physically, financially. That's not me. Those days are long gone. But I can read the tea leaves. And if you think today President Trump got involved in the races before, wait until you hear what's coming up. And I'll leave you with this. Chris Hinkle tweeting at Team Cornyn. Today is May 26, 2026. Today is John Cornyn's last day in political office. We will find out who he is based upon if he endorses and supports Ken Paxton and the Republican nominee in the great general election of November 2024 or 2026. You're right. You're right about that, Chris. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Be right back.
WYAB. Managing payroll, benefits, workers' comp, and HR tasks can take valuable time away from running your business. That's where People Lease comes in. From payroll processing and tax filing to employee benefits and retirement plan administration, People Lease helps simplify your back office operations while improving employee satisfaction. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Schedule your consultation today at peoplelease.com. That's peoplelease.com.
It's road trip season again. Is your vehicle ready? Take your vehicle to Green's Tire and Auto on Ridgewood Road in Ridgeland to get it in tip-top shape before you head out of town. Don't get stranded while you're away from home. Preventative maintenance is their specialty at Green's Tire and Auto. And if your check engine light is already on, then Green's Tire and Auto can tell what's wrong and get it fixed. Before you start your road trip, take your car to Green's Tire and Auto, Ridgewood Road in Ridgeland.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. The stethoscope crowd is going over the nation's chief executive, a routine annual physical and dental exam at Walter Reed Military Hospital in Maryland, his third dental exam in 5 months. Iran is calling yesterday's U.S. air attacks a gross violation of the ceasefire. The Pentagon calls them defensive. The president saying progress is being made in talks with Iran. No deadline, says ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers.
We don't see another date certain from the president. Iran has until this time. Iran has this window in order to make a deal. He has put deadlines in the past only to see them come and go. And now at this point, it is not clear if there is a idea in the president's mind of when this has to get done by.
U.S. and global crude oil are trading a little lower, but are still way up since before the Iran war. The national average of a gallon of regular grade gasoline now $4.45, according to Gas Buddy. This is ABC News.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Are you craving a home-cooked meal without the hassle? Come over to McBee's Bar and Grill in Ridgeland for their Blue Plate lunch specials. Served up every weekday, at McBee's it's a different entree every day. Chicken spaghetti on Mondays, beef tip Tuesday, pork chop Wednesday, spaghetti Thursday, and catfish Fridays. And McBee's Blue Plate lunch comes with 2 classic southern sides and cornbread or a roll. McBee's specials are served every weekday from 11 to 2. McBee's, buzzing the res since 1982.
The best investment on earth is earth. This is real estate agent Shane Saxton. As I like to say, the government can print more money, but they can't print more land. In the past 2 years, I've sold over $100 million in real estate. Call me today to get your land and home sold, because Saxton Sales isn't just a slogan. It's backed up by hundreds of satisfied clients just like you.
Find one of Mississippi's top real estate agents, Shane Saxon, on Facebook, or call Shane at 601-540-5040. Hopper Property, 601-724-1435.
This is Demario Davis from the New Orleans Saints. As a Brandon, Mississippi native, I've seen the positive effects Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge has across the state. Help us restore broken families and fight against addiction by donating an unneeded vehicle, even if it doesn't run. Mercy House will pick it up for you. All paperwork is handled and you receive a tax deduction. Call 601-572-7296 or visit vehicledonationsms.com.
Thank you for helping us get our daddies back.
Now is the time to turn over a new leaf and shower yourself with savings at Mazda of Jackson. Mazda of Jackson has rates as low as 0.9% on select models, or spring into savings with up to $3,000 in customer cash with approved credit. Get to Mazda of Jackson today, where certified pre-owned vehicles and hassle-free trade-in options are also available. Shop online at MazdaofJackson.com or visit Mazda of Jackson, I-55 Frontage Road.
Yeah, welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Really quick, we just heard that ABC report talking about how oil prices are falling, but they didn't really talk about what the price is. Oil's down $2.38 right now. This is WTI crude, $94.08. Brent crude is up to $99.91. And I don't know the other ones. And if I don't know where they're at, I'm not going to give the prices of that. Although the OPEC oil is selling for $119 a barrel. So if you're buying your oil from OPEC, you're definitely paying a higher price. But we aren't, which is why I always often complain about our gas prices here and how we need to break free from the OPEC cartel. I talked about this, so I do want to. I'm trying to get to the Roger Wicker opinion article because I am a war fighter. I am retired, but I am a war fighter, and I do have opinions on things. U.S. Senator Roger Wicker outlines defense modernization plans. Roger Wicker, I agree with you that we need to make sure that our war plans are modernized, and we're doing everything we can. At the same time, you could go while you're sitting there making this statement and say we need to pass the Save American Act. Mr. Leader, please let's debate this right now. It's that easy. And this is on Magnolia Tribune. I don't agree with everything that they post over there, but I do respect them, and they do a great job. And it's one of the better places you can get news online. And this is U.S. Roger Wicker writing this. For years, the United States has underinvested in its armed forces, even as the world around us has grown more dangerous. We require new weaponry that did not exist 40 years ago, and that equipment we purchased back then urgently needs replacing. The 21st century calls for modern tools that can adapt with our ever-improving technology. Well, it's the technology loop, and it's just getting smaller and smaller and faster. But I would argue that the United States had an investment issue that spans both Democrats and Republicans. And who's to say what the military-industrial complex is holding back? I continue to say that what's happening in the Ukraine and Russia, what's happening even in Iran, is an offloading of old technology. And this op-ed talks about it. President Trump, Secretary Hegseth, and I have been working together to increase defense investment and build capabilities that address today's most potent threats. I'm sure that the lobbyists with the military-industrial complex don't have anything to do with this. It is worth detailing some of the ways that we are. Drones are the weapons of the hour. There were some of us who were talking about drones in 2005 when Revenge of the Sith came out, saying, how cool would that be? And now you're seeing it 20 years later play out in Ukraine. They've literally got drones or droids, call them whatever you want. Well, droid would be self-thinking. We're not quite at droid level yet. We'll drones that they're flying into soldiers who are barricaded in bunkers. They literally fly through the gunner's nest and boom, blow them up and kill Russians are so demoralized. It's terrible. Or it's good, depending on how you look at it. And if they can do that in Kiev, if they can do that in Ukraine, and they can do that in Russia, they can do it in Iran, and they can certainly do it here. No weapon characterizes today's battlefield more than drones. The conflicts in the Ukraine and Iran have proved that. America needs more drones. Last year, I led a bill to, that's good. You led a bill, the Save America Act. That's great. That's the one we want. To help the Pentagon buy significant quantities of small aerial drones for the first time. Do you really believe that we don't have that capability on standby? I mean, I'll just leave it there. I expect this will increase our stocks by more than 350,000 drones before the end of 2027. This year, we are helping replace larger drones, which can lead to farther and farther and carry bigger and bigger payloads. So when we hear about a Reaper drone getting shot down, should we really be upset? Of course, we'll have people complaining, oh, we lost a drone. It's terrible. Drones are meant to die. It doesn't mean that we frivolously let them die, but they're there to die. Better a drone than an F-35 or a F-22 or F-15E Strike Eagle. And one of the things that doesn't talk about here, and maybe it talks about later on down the road, is the military industrial complex is now seeing new people enter the race, like Anduril, creating a cruise missile that is not as capable as the Tomahawk, but doesn't need to be. We're seeing new players enter the field, and it's going to lower the price of our weapons. He goes to talk about shipbuilding seriously. The first thing that needs to happen with our shipbuilding is all those admirals, whether they have 1 star or 4, all need to go, who led us to the debacle with the new frigate, with the new Ford-class aircraft carrier, with the Columbia-class submarines, where they promised big things and under-delivered, but we still paid all the money for it. They just need to go. They need to lose their retirements. Some of them should have stood up and taken the bullet. The political bullet, not a real bullet. The Ford class carrier, it's awesome, man, but it is behind. And oh, by the way, remember they said they were retiring Nimitz? Nimitz is all of a sudden doing a little impromptu deployment off the coast of Cuba with its full air wing. It's full air wing. Deter nuclear armed tyrants. This is the one that I want to really get people to understand. The rulers of China, Russia, and North Korea believe that their nuclear arsenals give them a license to threaten the United States and our allies. No, they don't. You know, Russia does not threaten the United States with nuclear bombs, preemptive. Neither does China. North Korea can't because they don't have the technology to, but they might. But do you know who does threaten? Islamic Republic of Iran. Because you see, China and Russia subscribe to MAD, mutually assured destruction. Xi Jinping knows that if he preemptively strikes the United States with nukes, they're going to get a little something on the way out the door. So does Russia. And we understand that if we do something to China, China's going to hook us up, and Russia will too. Iran and Islamic terrorists do not think that way. They send their kids with suicide vests into crowds to try to kill Americans. You think that they wouldn't strap a nuclear weapon in a backpack and put it on their kid and send them to the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago? Bye, Haji. They would do it in a heartbeat. That's the difference. And this is where I really disagree with Senator Wicker. You can't treat every weapon like it's the Cold War. Every conflict is different. And people sitting here ripping on Trump about how he is taking apart the Islamic Republic. If this was just a communistic country like Venezuela or Cuba, it'd be a totally different ball game. But it doesn't work like that in Islamic republics. Junk is asking, why are we negotiating with Iran? I don't recall negotiating with Germany or Japan. I don't have the full answer to that. I don't. I'm just being truthful with you, brother Junk. Do not have the full answer why we're negotiating with Iran. Maybe Trump knows something that we don't. Maybe Trump really doesn't want to have to kill more innocent people because the Iranians put their women and children in military targets. And you don't ever hear about those stories, but I've got plenty of stories where we're getting ready to take something out and nope, got to call off the attack. There's civilians in the military target. And we follow Geneva Conventions. Iran doesn't. So to answer your question, Junk, I'm just going to be truthful with you. Love it or hate it. I don't know. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to take our last commercial break. We'll be right back. Commercial break. We'll be right back.
103.9 WYAB.
We all plan to be on time, but fender benders, damaged windshield, and slick roads quickly disrupt those plans. At Shelter Insurance, our agents help design personal protection plans that work for you and help keep you on track. Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
See Shelter Agent Jamie Creel in Flora and Ridgeland, 601-992-6000.
Have you been injured through no fault of your own? Do you know your rights? Don Evans does. Do you really believe that the insurance company would disclose all information to you? Don Evans will make sure that you are fully informed. It costs nothing to discuss your case. From car wrecks to malpractice, Don Evans will make you and your family whole again. Don Evans won't ever charge unless he collects for you. Call Don for a free, no-obligation consultation at 601-969-2006.
Grill lovers already know about Grills of Mississippi, and so should you. Grills of Mississippi carries premium Weber grills, Yoder smokers, and outdoor kitchen accessories to take your backyard cooking to the next level. Whether you're a weekend griller or a serious pitmaster, Grills of Mississippi has the brands, the knowledge, and the service to help you do it right. Turn your backyard into the ultimate gathering spot. Visit grillsofms.com today. Grills of Mississippi, where great cooking starts.
What are people saying about Tom's Fried Pies in Richland?
I'm on a diet. I don't want to be down there at Tom's Fried Pies. We had a good time. When I tell you the crust was flaky, I'm talking about buttery. This was nothing like I've ever tasted. Ever. I mean, I've never tasted anything like that, man. It was nice. Atmosphere was nice. Everybody there was nice. Because I'll be back, even though I don't supposed to with my diet. I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Tom'sFriedPies.com. Tom'sFriedPies.com.
When it comes to protecting what matters most, experience counts. And the Rusty Healy Agency has been serving Madison and the rest of the Jackson Metro for over 35 years. Local agent Landon Thompson is keeping that trusted tradition going strong. As a local independent agent, he's not locked into one provider. The Rusty Healy Agency can shop the top insurance companies to find the best fit for you. And everyone knows that the Rusty Healy Agency and Landon Thompson offer top quality local customer service. Contact Landon today at 601-856-3681.
Hey, this is Ben Ingram from the Braves Radio Network. We're in commercial right now, so I'm going to let my sister take over and tell you about Hometown Property Group.
Thanks, Ben. This is Mary Claire Putman with Hometown Property Group. Whether you're buying or selling, we are committed to guiding you through your real estate transaction with integrity, exceptional service, and remarkable results. Madison County has been my home for 40 years. I'd love to help make it yours too.
That's Hometown Property Group. Give them a call at 601-853-6080.
Why should you choose Cerami Air Conditioning and Heating for all service or installation? Well, they purchase all parts directly from the manufacturer. All of their factory-trained technicians have been hand-selected for skill, work ethic, and experience. There are never any hidden fees or charges. Cerami Air Conditioning and Heating is dedicated to your complete satisfaction, and they're family-owned and operated. For residential and commercial service or installation, contact Cerami Air Conditioning and Heating, 601-317-0729, or make an appointment through their Facebook page.
Would you like to get the hell out of your life? If you do, we can help. Listen to life-changing stories of faith from ordinary people. Our guests share how they discovered hope, freedom, and God's amazing grace, and today are living a life of freedom with purpose. The show is called Get the Hell Out of Your Life with your host, Ron Myers. Heard every Saturday morning at 7 and 7:30 right here on 103.9 WYAB. It can also be heard on your favorite podcast platform.
And we are back for the final segment on the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. And what a show it's been. I feel it's been really positive. You know, we took the time to logically explain why Congressman Michael Guest should open up an ethics investigation into Ilhan Omar. The points have been proven out. The information has been disseminated to the audience. Who decides to go out and actually call and do something about it? I don't know. It's funny because I look at this and people ask me, how come you're so effective at doing some of this stuff? And I can't attribute it to anything other than courses I've attended, like officer training school, boot camp, SEER training, air battle management school, other leadership courses, where we have the audacity to go out and do the hard things. Dare I quote something from Tottenham, but to dare is to do. You know, it's funny. You see some of these people, and the first time you can tell it's their first time asking a question at a board meeting, and you've got to just be so grateful and thankful for it. What's going on, bro? Hey, oh my goodness. You're not going to believe who just entered the studio. It's going to be a good show next hour. I can tell already.
You're right about that, because they also keep repeating the same points over and over. And when they finally say, hey, move on, they're like, you're trying to stifle my right to free, blah, 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 blah. You know, you can always tell.
Kingfish, I got to tell you, when you reported on that DUI about that senator, and you just happened to put in all the other extraneous information, and I called out WLBT, you should have seen it. Now, he might be guilty of sin, and he might be high as a kite.
My little sources tell me that this one might be coming back. The cop may have overstepped.
Yeah,
big time.
You know, and that's just one of those things where, hey, we've got to let the cards play out. And again,
exactly.
It's always innocent until proven guilty, unless you're a politician or a Republican. Then you got to fire them right away. Well,
if you get over in the black community, they'll say something. They'll say the same thing, but on the other side, you know.
Will they?
Oh yeah, definitely. Ask Clay.
No, who has the black community sliced up as a Democrat?
Huh?
Who is the black community sliced up as a Democrat? Like we'll slice up a Republican 7 ways to Sunday,
if they consider him an Uncle Tom or something like that.
I
mean, you look like what a certain segment in Jackson's doing to John Horn right now. I mean, Socrates and his little Marcus Wallace and their little crew of clowns.
See,
they're sitting there just dicing him up. I mean, because he's sold out to the white man. I mean, that's where they'll slice up a Democrat.
Wow. See, I would have never known that. I would have never known that.
Just like you're seeing progressives slicing up Democrats if they're pro-Israel or pro-Jewish. Same thing.
I love using that argument because we got rid of the 7th congressional district in Tennessee, in Memphis, and it's a black district.
Yeah.
But it was a white Jewish dude who was eating KFC at a congressional hearing.
Yeah. That's all.
And they ran like 7 or 8 black candidates against that dude, both men and women, no transgender or non-binary, of course, but they never got more than 20%. The black people didn't vote for the black candidate more than 20%.
You got to have funding. You got to have organization, get out the vote effort. I mean, you most of the time you can't just walk in there just because you're black. I mean, and to win, you still got to put together a team and all that stuff.
Well, that's why I think congressional districts are drawn more on Republican and Democrat lines, political ideology lines, not based on race.
Depends on the state.
Well, I know New England does it. Illinois does it.
Yeah, those states, because they're overwhelmingly white, they tend to go on parties.
Yep.
Hey,
Hey,
right, I know you got to go.
Yeah, that was Brother Kingfish. I'm Andrew Gosser. We'll see you in about 24 hours, everybody. Yes and amen.